I'm now going to pass over to the lovely Mikaela, and she's ready to go. Hello, Mikaela. And Mikaela is going to share with you today the quantum healing hypnosis technique. So, from one meditative hypnosis technique to another. Passing on to you now, Mikaela.
Thanks, Beck. Thank you for that. That was amazing. I'm a bit floaty now, but I will ground down and present. So I'll share my screen. Get the right one. Oops. Make sure that is all working properly. All right, so I'm just going to jump straight into it. I'm Mikaela. I'm 28 years old from Adelaide, Australia, and I'm a QHHT practitioner, and that stands for Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. I guess the bulk of this work is about past life regression and contacting your higher self. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but just more of me. So I do some energy work with sound healing. I'm a holistic counselling student. Previously, I was a speech pathologist for 5 years, but I guess the model in the healthcare system didn't really resonate with me. So I made the switch to do more holistic work. So I studied naturopathy for a little bit and fell in love with holistic health. So I've moved around quite a bit, but I found my love in holistic health and in healing trauma. And I guess this happened when I embarked on my own self-healing journey, and it kind of activated my spiritual awakening as well. So I've gone through a big journey from being a selective mute and had a lot of childhood trauma to presenting online and speaking my truth. So it's been a big journey, but I'm here now. So my passion is to help others do the same. So really transform their lives and heal their trauma. And we'll get into deep soul scarring as well. And shadow work. So I really love to empower people to kind of face their shadows, face their fears, because the things that we run from are the most transformative things that will really set you free, and to find your voice, find your truth, your passion, and to really live authentically. And I guess my motto is trauma into power. So I'm really, really passionate about that. And yeah, so I found myself in this work, and I'm still, building on my skills to serve others. So that's definitely something else that I really want to do. But before we dive into QHHT itself, I just wanted to explain some concepts, and it might get a bit philosophical and spiritual, but I guess there's no other way for me to explain this because I don't know everyone and where they're kind of at on their journey. And I just want to say as well, if this doesn't resonate with you, that's absolutely fine. Everyone goes on their own journey and has their own experiences, but this is my experiences and my truth, and for my learnings as well, because I totally get it. I was raised a Catholic my whole life, and then, going through my own journey and finding myself, working through my traumas, my belief system changed and shifted. So, so this is my truth, and I hope you get something from it. If not, then that's fine as well. But the big question that we always have is, why am I here, or what is my purpose? So for me to answer this question, it's just about my learnings. So we are infinite souls and spiritual beings having a human experience. So our soul is on a journey, and we have a purpose really to learn lessons that we specifically want to learn to grow, evolve. And along with that, though, we just want to experience a human life and experience joy. So definitely experience joy and enjoy the journey. I think sometimes purpose, a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on purpose, put it up on a pedestal a little bit, but it's not really about that. It's just we're here to learn, grow, and evolve as souls, and to enjoy ourselves. So what happens when we, reincarnate is that we are humans. So then we create karma for ourselves. And so this is why healing is so, so important, because when we're here, we're human, we're going to make mistakes. And so we need to heal as well as learn our soul lessons. I'm not sure if anyone else has experienced this, but if you have things that repeat in your life a lot, so you keep getting into the same situations, like why does this keep happening to me? It's usually an indication that there's a soul lesson there that your soul specifically wants to learn. So with, for example, self-love, if you just keep getting into relationships that don't work out or you get really hurt, there could be a big message there for you around self-love. So loving yourself first. And once you learn these lessons, you grow and you evolve, and it tends to kind of disappear. It doesn't repeat anymore. So I usually tell my clients to shift their thinking. So what is this trying to teach me, instead of why does this keep happening? Why does this keep happening? And that is where karmic cycles come into play as well. And I know Beck mentioned a little bit of ancestral trauma as well. So there's also traumas that happen within our family line that repeat themselves until we clear them. So when we heal, we also heal our family line. For example, there's a lot of trauma in my family, but through healing myself, I've seen so many changes within my family as well. And they didn't even, they haven't done anything, but within me healing myself, my family has shifted in so many ways that it's so mind-blowing for me to see. But that's how powerful it is to do your own healing work, and not to get fixated on your family or, whoever is in your life, because you need to focus on yourself, and that is powerful enough to change other people as well. So learning soul lessons and clearing karmas is what I focus on, because when you do this, you are provided with profound healing and soul growth and evolution, which is what ultimately our soul wants to come here and do, because Earth is like a school. I don't know if people have heard of that before, but we're really here to learn and to understand. And once you do that, you remove the blocks in your life, and you deserve to live authentically, freely, and completely in your truth. And so when you do, that's sort of where what you sort of achieve. So that's for me. I had so many blocks around speaking up and living my truth, being myself, being confident, being seen. And when I removed all of that through doing lots of healing, especially past life healing, I'm confident enough to do this today. So it's so powerful. But that's sort of the concept of life itself from my learnings and my experiences. So we'll continue. I also wanted to talk about trauma awareness a little bit as well. So traumas and your shadows and your triggers are your best teachers. So don't be afraid of them. I know they are uncomfortable. I know it's not easy to talk about your traumas, or it's just uncomfortable to bring up. It's not something you bring up every day, but it is so worth facing them to get to the other side because of what's waiting for you. That quote of everything you desire is on the other side of fear. I'm sorry if that's wrong, but it's something like that. It's a really, really good quote. And that's why I love to encourage and help others through their trauma, because I see how amazing it is to overcome that. So what is trauma? Trauma is any event that has caused a negative emotional response, and it can be big or small. There is no trauma scale. I like to say that a lot, because sometimes we're scared of speaking about our own traumas because there's a lot of people who, might have it worse than us, or, there's like this comparison thing that kind of happens, but it's definitely, you need to get that thinking out of your mind, because all trauma is valid. And if it changed you in any way, then it is completely valid and it's very significant. So for me, how do I say this? I don't want to open a can of worms, but for me, it's around speaking up. So I spoke up for the first time when I was 3 years old. But then it was a very traumatic event, because my dad yelled at me and he made it very, very traumatic. And being young, I held on to that for a long time because it was in childhood. So I never felt safe to speak up again. And that was a limiting belief. If I speak up, I'll be punished. So that's sort of, but, if you think about it, yelling at a child isn't really you know, a big traumatic thing, but it really is, and it really was for me, because it changed my whole confidence, who I was. I wasn't, you know, I couldn't even order my food, going to a restaurant. I was very shy, and it affected my life like largely. And that's why all trauma is valid. Don't ever think that your trauma isn't valid because someone else has had it worse, or, you know, comparing. And some unhealed trauma can manifest in many different ways and cause blocks. These are the common ones that I've listed here, but obviously there's many more, but people pleasing, fixing others, codependency, external validation needed, hypervigilance, having no boundaries, and deprioritizing your own needs. So these are very common of unhealed trauma. And childhood trauma is very important to go back to as well, because it really shapes us, like I was saying before, into who we are today. And I think Beck touched on it a little bit as well, but before that, we don't really have any experiences when we're young. So in childhood, we're kind of a clean slate. And so we don't have anything to compare to. So when we're young, we hold on to those memories, because when we're an adult now, you fall over and it's not really a big deal, because you've got other experiences to pull from to be like, that's not a big deal. But when you're younger, everything happens to you. You don't have anything to compare it to. So you really hang on to those memories. And that's why a lot of psychologists, psychiatrists, and therapists, they go back to childhood trauma, because it is so important to address those. But I guess my work is, what if it goes back even further than childhood? So that leads us to past lives. So what are past lives? They are lives that we've lived before this current one. So our soul, our consciousness, has lived many lives before. And again, this is my belief. And, you know, I know that not everyone resonates with it, but past life regression and reincarnation is not uncommon. So so it's done before, and reincarnation is not uncommon knowledge either. So past life regression is becoming more and more known. And for me, I started to explore this during my healing journey, and I came across Brian Weiss, I think that's how you pronounce his name, but Many Lives, Many Masters. I'm not sure if anyone's read that book. It is an audiobook as well if you're interested in knowing more about past lives. But he is a psychiatrist in America who had a very tricky client. He took her back to childhood regression, but she went back even further, and it just blew his mind, and it changed the way he did his work as well. So she went back to past lives, and it caused radical change. So he was just mind blown, and then he started to document this more and more. So you can look into his work if you're interested. Unexplained fears are also signs of past life trauma. So if you're scared of water, for me, I was scared of like putting my legs in anything. So it doesn't relate to anything in this life, not in childhood, nothing. I'm just scared of having my legs trapped. But I went back to a past life where I was injured, which I do have a birthmark right on my spine. And I was injured there, and then I was paralyzed from the leg down. So I can't go kayaking. I can't do any of that because I have deep soul scarring around that event. I've worked on it a lot now though. So a lot of these fears I've worked on, but that's sort of just an example. But that's what this work can help with. It can help with understanding unexplained fears, deep soul scarring, and usually it's significant and unlearned lessons as well that carry through into the next life. So it can replay in childhood. So for me, with childhood, not being able to speak up, not having a voice, that was replayed from past lives before, because I've had many past lives where I've spoken up and I've been outspoken and, you know, standing up for my beliefs, and I've been punished for it multiple times. I've seen my past lives, and that has really carried on for a very long time. And it happened again in this life. So I'm really learning to speak up and speak my truth. It's a very big lesson for me and my soul to learn and overcome. So that is, and the last thing is birthmarks. So that is an indication of traumatic deaths as well. If you've got any birthmarks, it's quite interesting to start exploring this, but it could be something the soul has difficulty letting go of. So one of my lives, I was actually hit in the back of the head here, which I do have a birthmark of a line, because of that was related to my gifts, and speaking up and, sharing my gifts with the world. So usually it is traumatic, but the more you explore, the more everything makes sense. So I'm hoping I'm not losing anyone right now, but that's past lives. So what is quantum healing hypnosis technique? So this works with the higher self and the subconscious, and that is an all-knowing source that can heal and provide soul knowledge. A lot of people love to ask their burning questions. So why am I here? What are my blocks? What are my soul lessons? It really deepens your journey and connection. It allows for physical healings and provides invaluable guidance. And during quantum healing hypnosis technique, we work with the theta brainwave as well, like in Beck's work. And where I take you in a meditative like state and find the root causes and of the blocks that you have in this current life. So revisiting past lives allows for this and for the deep soul healing to release and let go of the emotions and to understand, to then break the repeating lessons and the cycles that you're currently stuck in. And the process of it. So I know we're running a little bit out of time here. So quantum healing hypnosis technique is usually an intensive session of 4 to 7 hours. It's really dependent on the client. So we have a soul discussion in the beginning. We talk about your whole life from, beginning till now, which I provide some counseling for. And then the hypnosis part goes for 1 to 2 hours. Where we go back to your past lives, and at the end of that we contact your higher self for messages and guidance and healing. At the end we debrief on the entire session and what we learned, the soul learnings, any karmic cycles that we broke through, or messages to help you understand why you have these blocks. But yeah, like I said, every client is different, so it really depends on you and what you want to work on. And then at the end, the client receives a recording of their past life regression, and this is something you can keep forever, to keep listening to your recording and to understand your lessons and get more healing and knowledge from the recording. So we talked about this a little bit already, but this is the benefits of QHHT. You get the physical healings, you receive profound soul knowledge and the wisdom by accessing your higher self and your past life. And for me, this really deepens the soul journey as well, because you understand your soul in a different way, because you know why you're here, what you've been through, why you have certain blocks in your life. And through this as well, you have powerful childhood healing. So inner child healings, you heal from your traumas, the deep soul scarring, so the unexplainable fears. You can gain direction and purpose in your life as well through asking those questions, and to remove the blocks, ancestral trauma and karmic cycles. And through this whole process, you empower yourself a lot, because you break from victim mentality and you just take control to create these profound changes in your life. And a lot of my clients, it's just such a unique experience, and it's very, very different from anything else. And to really contact and talk to your higher self is, it's just very powerful, and QHHT is limitless. And it's very unique to your journey. I know a lot of people get a bit nervous, but it never gives too much or too little. You're always provided with where you're at for your highest and best good. So I know it can be scary, but it's so, so powerful and can shift so many things for you. So a bit on my story. I mentioned it throughout the presentation, but when I was 3 years old, my dad yelled at me the first time where I spoke up. And so that was very traumatic. And I just never spoke up again. I was a selective mute. And I went throughout school, uni, everything like that, just not speaking, and that was very, very challenging for me. And every, I guess, parent teacher interview, everything, all the feedback was just, she doesn't speak up, she needs to be more confident. And I wasn't confident in even ordering my food or going to exchange something at the shops. I just never spoke. And it was a little bit different with hanging out with friends and everything. I was okay with that, but I was very, very uncomfortable with speaking. So it, as you can see, this would have affected my life hugely, which it did. And that was, I guess, I think even like maybe 26 years of my life I've been like that. So even throughout uni, being a speech pathologist, I still struggled so much because I really wanted to work and help other people have a voice and to be able to communicate and find their voice. So I became a speech pathologist, but I struggled myself with that as well. And throughout uni, they just kept saying, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't be a speechy because you don't speak. So hearing that again and again just really was disheartening. But then I got through it because I took a break and I really worked on my confidence and speaking up, and I finished the degree, obviously worked in it for 5 years, and then I just wanted to help others, but just in a different way. And then now I'm doing this work, but that is obviously in the last 3 years working on so much on myself. So breaking down my like the karmic cycles that I've been stuck in, working on my traumas, my inner child healing. I did so much healing to get to where I am today and to be speaking my truth, being confident, and then helping others do the same through their like trauma into power. That's really, really what I want to help others with. And especially in my culture as well, I know in the Asian culture, there's so much suppression that I want to help change, because you know, there's just a lot of fear, and this is where the ancestral trauma comes in, because there's a lot of Asian culture, we have a lot of fear with, you know, scarcity, everything like that, and it's just passed on ancestry, like through the lines, lineage, and no one sort of, not no one, but there's just so much work to do here. So that's just what I really want to see change in the Asian culture and see less suppression. And so then the next generations, they'll be more confident in doing what they want to do, and they don't need to be, I guess, kind of not forced, but really, forced into something they don't want to do. Because I see it a lot, and it's just, I just really feel for a lot of the other people that I see that are going through the same thing and not being able to live their truth or speak their truth or live authentically. And that is why Trauma into Power is what I've created, and it just goes deeper and deeper. So my work is a little bit different. It's working with the trauma, holistic counseling, but also getting into the spiritual side. I hope this all makes sense as well. If you have any questions, just feel free to put it in the chat box. Otherwise, I will, you can always follow my story on Instagram, contact me through Instagram. I do, the free consultations as well, if you would like to chat more there. And I'd just like to leave with these quotes. So I just want everyone to change the way you see your trauma, because your traumas, like I say, they are your best teachers and they're part of you. So it's learning to live with them and learning to grow through them. So I love these quotes of show me your trauma and I'll show you your purpose. Show me the most damaged part of your soul and I'll show you how it still shines like gold. And your trauma is a prerequisite for your purpose. And that really resonates with me in my story, because through my trauma and what I've been through, I've really found my purpose and my passion. So turn your trauma into power and really take control of your life, and not break from victim mentality and just go for it. Turn your trauma into power and own it. But yeah, thank you for listening. That is me today. I am so, I guess, so mind blown that I'm even doing this. It's my first time speaking and doing something like this. So I hope it really made sense for everyone. And if you'd like to, like I said, ask any questions, please do. Or thank you, Jessica. I love the quotes as well. Oh my gosh, I'll read all your messages soon. I didn't realize people were typing. Thank you so much. I was really nervous about this, but I hope that made sense and I, really presented it well. But I will, hopefully connect with some of you after this as well. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the retreat and I'll hand it back to you, Beck.
Thank you so much, Mikaela. And thank you so much for sharing all of that. So powerful.